I hear you. I hear the weight in those 3 words. The exhaustion that settled into your bones like dust on forgotten furniture. The kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix, that vacation days can't touch, that even your best attempts at self-care can't seem to reach. I hear you when you wake up, and the first thought isn't gratitude or hope, but the heavy realization that you have to do this all over again. Another day of showing up, another day of trying, another day of carrying what feels too heavy to hold. I know you've been strong for so long. You've been the one others lean on, the one who always has it together, the one who shows up with a smile even when your heart is breaking, the one who says you're fine when someone asks, because it's easier than explaining the complicated mess of emotions you're actually feeling. But you're not talking to someone who needs you to perform right now. You're talking to me, and I already know. I know about the nights you've cried yourself to sleep. I know about the prayers you've whispered in your car before walking into work. I know about the moments you've stared at your reflection wondering if you even recognize yourself anymore. I know about the dreams that didn't happen the way you thought they would. The relationship that fell apart. The job that didn't work out. The healing that hasn't come. The breakthrough you've been waiting for that still feels impossibly far away. The financial pressure that keeps you up at night. The health issue that won't resolve. The family situation that's tearing you apart. I know you've tried everything you know how to try. You've prayed the prayers. You've claimed the promises. You've worshipped through the pain. You've fasted. You've sought counsel. You've done the work. You've believed. You've trusted. You've waited. And still, here you are, tired. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Your tiredness doesn't disappoint me. It doesn't make me love you less. It doesn't mean you've failed or that your faith is weak. Your exhaustion isn't evidence of your inadequacy. It's evidence of your humanity. You were never meant to carry everything alone. You were never designed to be endlessly strong. You were never created to have all the answers or to hold yourself together perfectly at all times. That's why you need me. Not because you're weak, but because that's how I made you. To need me, to depend on me, to find your strength in my strength, not your own. When I walked the earth in flesh and bone, I got tired too. After healing the sick and teaching the crowds, I would withdraw to lonely places to pray. After feeding 5,000 people, I fell asleep in a boat during a storm. In the Garden of Gethsemane, hours before the cross, I was so overwhelmed with sorrow that I sweat drops of blood. I understand tired in ways you can't even imagine. I understand what it's like to give everything and still have people want more. To pour yourself out and have it feel like it's never enough. To love people who don't love you back. To sacrifice and not see the fruit of it. To do the right thing and still suffer. To follow the Father's will, even when every part of you wants a different path. So when you come to me and say, "God, I'm tired," I don't respond with disappointment. I respond with compassion. I don't tell you to try harder. I tell you to rest in me. I don't add more weight to your shoulders. I invite you to lay your burden down. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. That's not just a nice verse to put on a coffee mug. That's an invitation, a real one, from someone who actually has the power to give you what you need. But here's what you need to understand about the rest I offer. It's not always the rest you think you want. Sometimes you want me to remove the hard situation, to change your circumstances, to open the door you've been knocking on, to fix the problem that's draining you. And sometimes I do that. Sometimes I calm the storm. Sometimes I provide the miracle. Sometimes I open doors that no one can shut. But sometimes, the rest I give you is the strength to endure the storm. The peace that surpasses understanding even when nothing has changed. The grace to keep going when you thought you couldn't take another step. The supernatural ability to find joy in the journey, even when the destination still seems far away. That's a different kind of rest. Not the absence of struggle, but the presence of peace in the middle of it. Not the removal of the weight, but the strength to carry it. Not the end of the difficulty, but the companionship that makes it bearable. You're tired because you've been trying to generate your own strength. You've been running on fumes, on willpower, on the expectations others have of you, on the pressure you put on yourself to keep it all together. And now you're empty. The tank is dry. You have nothing left to give. Good, that's exactly where I can work. Because as long as you think you can do this on your own, you'll keep trying. As long as you believe you should be stronger, you'll keep pushing. As long as you're convinced that tired means failure, you'll keep hiding. But when you finally come to the end of yourself, when you finally admit that you can't do this alone, when you finally stop pretending and start being honest, that's when you create space for me to be God in your life. I don't need you to be strong. I am strong. I don't need you to have it all figured out. I know the way. I don't need you to be perfect. I already made you righteous through my blood. What I need is for you to trust me, to let me carry what you were never meant to carry, to release your grip on the things you're trying to control, to stop striving and start receiving. You've been living like everything depends on you. Like if you don't hold it all together, it will all fall apart. Like if you stop being strong, everyone will see how weak you really are. Like if you admit you're tired, you'll be letting people down. But what if I told you that your vulnerability is not your weakness? What if your honesty about your exhaustion is actually an act of faith? What if admitting you can't do this alone is the exact thing that allows me to show up and do what only I can do? The enemy wants you to believe that your tiredness means you're failing, that if you were really walking with me, you'd be full of energy and joy and strength all the time, that if you had enough faith, you wouldn't struggle, that if you were really committed, you'd be able to push through without breaking down. Those are lies. Beautiful, religious-sounding lies, but lies nonetheless. The truth is that even the strongest people get tired. Even the most faithful people have moments of doubt. Even the most committed people need to rest. Look at Elijah. He called down fire from heaven. He defeated 450 prophets of Baal. He saw miracle after miracle. And then he ran from Jezebel and sat under a tree and asked me to take his life because he couldn't take it anymore. Was his faith weak? No. He was human. He was tired. And I didn't rebuke him. I sent an angel to feed him. I let him sleep. I gave him rest. Look at David, a man after my own heart. He wrote psalms of praise and worship that are still sung thousands of years later. And he also wrote psalms of desperation and pain and feeling abandoned. He cried out, asking why I had forsaken him. Was his faith weak? No, he was human. He was honest. And I called him beloved. Look at Paul. He planted churches all over the known world. He wrote much of the New Testament. He suffered beatings and shipwrecks and imprisonment for the gospel. And he also wrote about a thorn in his flesh that I wouldn't remove, about feeling burdened beyond measure, about despairing even of life. Was his faith weak? No. He was human. He was dependent on my grace. And I used him mightily. Look at Peter. He walked on water toward me. He preached at Pentecost and 3,000 people were saved. He saw miracles flow through his shadow. But he also denied me 3 times. He also sank when fear overwhelmed faith. He also struggled with what others thought of him. Was his faith weak? No. He was human. He was learning. And I never stopped loving him or using him. Look at Moses. He led millions out of slavery. He spoke with me face to face. He saw the Red Sea part and water come from a rock. But he also got so frustrated that he struck the rock in anger instead of speaking to it. He also doubted whether he could do what I called him to do. He also felt the weight of leadership so heavily that he asked me to just take his life. Was his faith weak? No. He was human. He was carrying a heavy burden, and I never abandoned him. Look at Jeremiah, the weeping prophet. He delivered my word faithfully for decades. He warned the people about judgment. He spoke truth, even when no one wanted to hear it. But he also cursed the day he was born. He also complained that I had deceived him. He also felt the loneliness and rejection of his calling so deeply that he wanted to quit. Was his faith weak? No. He was human. He was honest about the cost of obedience. And I treasured his faithfulness. So why do you think you're supposed to be different? Why do you believe that your tiredness disqualifies you? Why are you so hard on yourself for feeling what every human being feels? Why do you hold yourself to a standard that I never set? The Christian life is not about never getting tired. It's about knowing where to go when you are. It's not about never feeling overwhelmed. It's about knowing who holds you when the waves crash over you. It's not about never doubting. It's about choosing to trust even when you can't see the way forward. You're tired because you've been trying to live the Christian life in your own strength. You've been trying to manufacture joy. You've been trying to force faith. You've been trying to create the outcomes you want through sheer willpower and determination. And it's exhausting, because it was never meant to work that way. I'm not looking for perfect performers. I'm looking for honest children who know they need their father. I'm not impressed by people who pretend to have it all together. I'm moved by people who come to me broken and needy and real. I'm not attracted to strength that doesn't need me. I'm drawn to weakness that clings to me as the only source of strength. So what do you do when you're tired? You stop. You actually stop. Not just physically, though sometimes that's necessary too. But you stop striving. You stop trying to earn my love. You stop trying to prove yourself. You stop trying to make things happen in your own power. You stop running on empty and you come to the source that never runs dry. You sit in my presence without an agenda. You don't come to me with a list of requests or a performance of worship. You just come, tired, honest, empty, and you let me fill you, not with what you think you need, but with what I know you need. Sometimes, what you need is peace. A supernatural calm that settles over your anxious heart like a blanket. A quieting of the racing thoughts. A release from the constant worry about tomorrow. The kind of peace that makes no logical sense given your circumstances, but is real nonetheless. Sometimes what you need is perspective. A reminder that this season is temporary. That what you're facing is not bigger than me. That I'm working even when you can't see it. That the story isn't over yet. That the chapter you're in right now doesn't define the whole book. Sometimes what you need is simply to be reminded that you are loved. Not for what you do. Not for how strong you are. Not for how much you accomplish. But simply because you are mine. My beloved child. The one I died for. The one I would have gone to the cross for. Even if you were the only person on earth. I love you in your tiredness. I love you in your weakness. I love you in your doubt. I love you in your pain. I love you in your failure. I love you in your mess. There is nothing you can do that will make me love you more, and there is nothing you can do that will make me love you less. That's hard for you to believe because you've lived in a world where love is conditional, where people care about you as long as you're useful to them, where your value is tied to your productivity, where you're only as good as your last achievement, where people's affection rises and falls based on what you can do for them. But that's not how I love you. My love is not based on your performance. It's based on my character. It's not dependent on your strength. It's rooted in my faithfulness. It doesn't fluctuate with your mood or your circumstances or your ability to keep it all together. It's steady, unchanging, eternal. So when you're tired, you don't have to hide it from me. You don't. You have to put on a brave face. You don't have to pretend you're okay. You can be honest. You can be real. You can say the things you're afraid to say to anyone else. I can handle your anger. I can handle your questions. I can handle your doubt. I can handle your pain. What I can't work with is pretense. When you act like everything is fine when it's not, you keep me at arm's length. When you put on a mask of having it all together, you rob yourself of the intimacy with me that you're actually craving. When you refuse to be vulnerable, you miss the opportunity to experience my comfort. I'm not asking you to be strong. I'm asking you to be honest. I'm not looking for your best performance. I'm looking for your authentic heart. I'm not measuring your worth by what you accomplish. I'm delighting in who you are. You are my child, my creation, my beloved, the one I sing over. The one I rejoice over with gladness, the one I quiet with my love, and nothing about your tiredness changes that. So let me carry you for a while. Stop trying to figure everything out. Stop trying to force the breakthrough. Stop trying to make it all make sense. Just rest. Rest in my sovereignty. Rest in my goodness. Rest in my love. Rest in my timing. Rest in my wisdom. I know the end from the beginning. I know what you need before you ask. I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. I know the way through the wilderness. I know how to make streams in the desert. I know how to bring life out of death and beauty out of ashes. And I'm not in a hurry. I'm not panicked about your situation. I'm not worried about how long this is taking. I'm not frustrated with your pace. I'm patient. I'm kind. I'm gentle. I'm long-suffering. And I'm with you every single step of the way. The breakthrough you're waiting for might come tomorrow. Or it might come months from now. Or it might come in a completely different form than you're expecting. But either way, I'm good. Either way, I'm faithful. Either way, I'm working. Either way, I love you. So be tired. It's okay. Let yourself feel it without guilt or shame. Let yourself admit that you don't have it all together. Let yourself need help. Let yourself be human. And in your tiredness, let me be God. Let me be the strong one. Let me be the one who carries you. Let me be the one who fights your battles. Let me be the one who makes a way. Let me be enough when everything else feels insufficient. You've been running for so long, running from pain, running towards solutions, running to keep up with expectations, running to prove yourself, running to earn love, running because you're afraid of what will happen if you stop. But I'm inviting you to stop running, to stop striving, to stop trying so hard, to let yourself be tired without seeing it as failure, to rest without guilt, to simply be held by the one who loves you most. I'm not going anywhere. I haven't left you. I haven't forgotten you. I haven't given up on you. I'm right here in the middle of your tiredness, offering you the rest that only I can give. Not the kind of rest that comes from having everything figured out or having all your problems solved, but the kind of rest that comes from knowing that you are safe, you are loved, you are held, and you are not alone. Your tiredness is not the end of your story. It's not a sign that you've failed or that I'm done with you. It's actually an invitation to experience my grace in a deeper way, an invitation to discover that my power really is made perfect in weakness, an invitation to learn that when you have nothing left, I am still everything you need. I know you feel like you're barely hanging on, like you're one bad day away from completely falling apart, like the thread you're holding onto is about to snap. But let me tell you what I see. I see someone who's still here, still breathing, still trying, still reaching for me even. When you feel like you have nothing left to give, that's not weakness. That's incredible strength. Not your strength, but my strength, working in you. The fact that you're still standing, still praying, still believing even in the smallest way, that's evidence of my grace sustaining you. You think you're barely holding on, but the truth is, I'm holding you. I've been holding you all along. You're tired because you've been carrying things I never asked you to carry. You've been taking responsibility for outcomes that were never yours to control. You've been trying to fix people who only I can heal. You've been trying to force doors open that I've kept closed for your protection. You've been exhausting yourself trying to make something happen in your timing instead of trusting my timing. Let me tell you about timing. My timing rarely makes sense to you in the moment. Abraham waited 25 years for Isaac. Joseph spent 13 years in slavery and prison before his dreams came. True, Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before I called him to lead my people. David was anointed king as a teenager but didn't take the throne until he was 30 years old. The waiting wasn't wasted time. It was preparation. It was character development. It was learning to trust me when nothing made sense. It was discovering that I'm faithful, even when the promise seems impossible. It was realizing that my plans are better than anything they could have imagined for themselves. Your waiting isn't wasted either. Every day that feels like nothing is happening, I'm working. Every moment that feels like you're going backwards, I'm actually repositioning you. Every season that feels like you're stuck, I'm actually preparing you for what's coming next. You can't see it yet, because you're in the middle of it. But one day you'll look back and you'll see my hand in every detail. You'll see how the delays were actually divine appointments, how the closed doors protected you from paths that would have destroyed you, how the waiting developed patience and character and faith that you couldn't have gotten any other way. I know it's hard to trust that when you're exhausted, when you've been believing for so long and nothing seems to be changing, when you've been praying for breakthrough and it feels like your prayers are hitting the ceiling, when you've been faithful and obedient and it seems like everyone else is getting their miracles while you're still waiting for yours. But here's what you need to understand. Your miracle isn't delayed because I don't love you. It's not being withheld because you haven't prayed enough or believed hard enough or done enough. I'm not making you wait as punishment. I'm making you wait because the timing matters, because what I'm preparing for you requires this season of waiting to shape you into the person who can carry it. Think about a seed planted in the ground. For weeks, it looks like nothing is happening. The farmer can't see any growth. If he didn't know better, he might think the seed was dead. But underneath the surface, roots are growing deep. The foundation is being established. The plant is preparing for the breakthrough that's coming. That's you right now. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm working beneath the surface. I'm growing roots in you that will anchor you when the storms come. I'm establishing a foundation that will support the weight of what I'm about to build in your life. I'm preparing you for a breakthrough that requires this depth to sustain it. So when you're tired of waiting, remember that the waiting is not wasted. When you're exhausted from hoping, remember that hope is never in vain when it's placed in me. When you're weary from believing, remember that your faith is not misplaced even when you can't see the evidence yet. I'm asking you to trust me in the dark, to believe I'm good when your circumstances say otherwise, to hold on to hope when everything in you wants to give up. I know it's hard. I know it takes everything you have. But I also know that the darkest hour is just before dawn. I know that breakthrough often comes right after the moment you think you can't take anymore. Don't quit now. Not when you've come this far. Not when you've already survived so much. Not when you're closer than you think to seeing what I've been preparing. The enemy wants you to give up right before the blessing. He wants you to walk away right before the breakthrough. He wants you to lose hope right before the answer arrives. But I'm asking you to hold on, not in your strength, because you don't have any left, but in mine. Let my strength be enough for you. Let my grace carry you through one more day. Let my presence be the comfort you need when nothing else makes sense. You don't have to understand it all. You don't have to see the whole picture. You don't have to know how it's all going to work out. You just have to trust me. Trust that I know what I'm doing. Trust that I'm working everything together for your good. Trust that my love for you is real and constant and unchanging. I know you've been hurt by people who said they loved you and then left. I know you've been disappointed by promises that weren't kept. I know you've learned to protect yourself by not expecting too much. But I'm not like the people who hurt you. I'm not going to disappoint you. I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to break my promises to you. Every promise I've ever made, I will keep. Not on your timeline, but on mine. Not in the way you expect, but in the way that's best for you. Not with human limitations, but with divine power and wisdom and love. So when you're tired, remember who you're trusting. Not a distant deity who doesn't care. Not an angry judge waiting to punish you. Not an indifferent force that leaves you to figure it out on your own. But a loving Father who gave up his own Son so you could be his child. A Savior who went to the cross because you were worth it. A friend who sticks closer than a brother and will never leave you or forsake you. I'm with you in this tired place. I'm not standing at a distance waiting for you to get it together. I'm right here in the middle of your exhaustion, holding you up when you can't stand on your own. I'm carrying you when you don't have the strength to take another step. I'm fighting for you when you're too tired to fight for yourself. And I'm changing you through this. Not in ways you might recognize right now, but in ways that will matter for eternity. I'm stripping away your self-reliance so you can learn to depend on me. I'm removing your false sources of security so you can find your security in me alone. I'm allowing you to come to the end of yourself so you can discover that I'm more than enough. This isn't punishment. This is transformation. This isn't abandonment. This is intimate involvement in your life at the deepest level. This isn't cruelty. This is love that refuses to leave you the way you are because I see who you're becoming. You're becoming someone who knows that your worth isn't in what you accomplish, but in whose you are. You're becoming someone who can stand in the storm and still have peace because you know who controls the wind and waves. You're becoming someone who can walk through the valley of the shadow of death and fear no evil because you know I'm with you. You're becoming someone whose faith is not based on circumstances, but on character. My character, my faithfulness, my unchanging nature, my proven track record of never failing anyone who puts their trust in me. I know you can't see it yet. I know right now you just feel tired and broken and weak. But I see the masterpiece I'm creating. I see the strength that's being forged in this fire. I see the faith that's being refined in this furnace. I see the person you're becoming, and I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you for still showing up, even when you don't feel like. I'm proud of you for still praying, even when it feels like your prayers go nowhere. I'm proud of you for still believing, even when everything tells you to give up. I'm proud of you for still reaching for me, even when you feel like you have nothing left. That's faith. Real faith. Not the kind that only believes when everything is going well, but the kind that holds on in the dark. The kind that trusts when there's no evidence. The kind that hopes against hope. The kind that says, even though I can't see you working, even though I can't feel your presence, even though nothing makes sense, I still choose to believe you're good and you're with me. That's the kind of faith that moves my heart. That's the kind of trust that honors me. That's the kind of relationship I've always wanted with you. Not one based on what I do for you, but on who I am to you. Not one that needs constant proof, but one that rests in proven character. Not one that demands understanding, but one that finds peace in mystery. So rest, my child. Rest in knowing that I've got this. Rest in knowing that you don't have to have all the answers. Rest in knowing that your tiredness doesn't disqualify you from my love or my plans. Rest in knowing that I'm not disappointed in you or frustrated with you or done with you. I'm right here. Closer than your next breath. More constant than your heartbeat. More faithful than the sunrise. And I'm not leaving, ever. No matter how tired you get, no matter how weak you feel, no matter how long this season lasts, I'm staying right here with you. You are mine. And I take care of what's mine. I protect what's mine. I provide for what's mine. I never abandon what's mine. And you are mine forever. Nothing can change that. Not your tiredness. Not your weakness. Not your doubt. Not your failure. Nothing. So come to me. Bring your tiredness. Bring your weariness. Bring your burdens. Bring your broken heart. Bring your shattered dreams. Bring your disappointed hopes. Bring all of it to me and let me carry it for you. Let me give you rest. Real rest. The kind that goes deeper than sleep. The kind that restores your soul. The kind that renews your strength. The kind that can only come from me. I love you. And that's never going to change. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not ever. You are my beloved child. And I will never stop being your faithful father. Rest in that truth. Let it sink deep into your weary soul. You are loved. You are held. You are safe. And you are never alone.